And welcome back, everyone. Ellington here, and we are back on Total War Rome 2, and we have got ourselves a 3 versus 3. This is taking place on one of my favorite settlements, the settlement of Tarsus. But this is going to be a little bit different than most Tarsus defenses you see, due to the fact there's a shit ton of cavalry. We've got a mass sally out by the defenders. Here we go, Armenia coming in with some eastern cataphracts. You can see we've got Roxolani on the battlefield. We've got Saba here to kick some ass. Let's look at some players real quick. For Roxolani, we have got... You're going to have to forgive me for this. I'm assuming this is German. Flori Lutkins. I probably butchered it, and I'm so sorry. We've got Saba, of course, being commanded by Gurkenheld. And finally, Armenia being commanded by In Sniper. In Sniper, I know we've seen before. We've got a couple players that I recognize here. For the attackers, we've got Rome being commanded by Heidenberg. We've got Colchis being commanded by Catan Prodigy. More, damn, so much calf step armored lancers. We finally have Sparta being commanded by Kirky. On the far left here, we've got mercenary Amazonian riders. We've got more step armored lancers, step noble lancers. We've got quite the sally out here from the defenders. It's going to be interesting how this goes. A lot of time, I'm assuming, it's going to be wasted. Kartli Axeman coming out from Armenia. Very little infantry for the defenders. Mostly Armenian. Kartli Axeman, for the most part, it seems. We do have a couple Moscow Marauders here from Saba. And then we've got a few more outside the settlement as well, assisting in this sally out. Now, I will say, Rome is a little bit of a tough faction to sally out on, as well as Sparta. They're just very, very heavy, dense units that are hard for cavalry to get through. And then, obviously, Sparta has spears. But real quick, let's go look over at Colchis' side. Same thing, they're just kind of turtling, to be honest with you. Sorry, I had to take a drink there. Now, typically, what we tend to see as a good tactic to kind of keep yourselves alive, condense, consolidate forces, you know what I mean? You got big gap. Colchis here is basically by himself. I guess he's got a little bit of Sparta here. Sparta's split between both armies, or both flanks here. But I do find that it helps if we condense a little bit, you know what I mean? Take away this massive gap in the center. The other thing is attack. You know, we know that because of all the sally out here and how much is committed to it, there's very, very little here. All you have is the bare bone defense of Armenia. Now, Armenia is going to have to guard these breaches like nothing else because he needs to buy time for the sally out to actually get in here and start picking out stuff, finding soft things to hit, so on and so forth. But it's going to be tough for Armenia. It's going to be a very, very painful fight because you're going to be outnumbered. So far, the cavalry just taking their time. They're biding their time, and there's nothing wrong with that. Over on the Roman side, we've got a little bit of back and forth. We do have some cav from Rome. Rome actually bringing 2 Sociequitae Extraordinari, which are pretty solid, very heavy shock cap. Is it worth it? I don't know. We're going to find out. Here's a Sparta getting peppered down by some mercenary Amazonian riders. They have taken some losses here. I wonder if some archers from the defenders got into them. Because they should only have... Oh, they do have 150, so... I don't know. Most ranged cavalry, like a bow cav, usually only have 125. But there are a few units out there that have the 150 range. Rome needs to start pulling a little bit here. The problem is that they weren't able to really get any of their tortoises in on this flank. Although I do find this wall to be a little bit glitchy. I tend to find that if you're not careful, you end up with the really tiny sliver walls, or sliver breaches that really don't get you in. Sparta is beginning their attack. We do have Hippeus Lancers, some Colchis. A lot of cav actually from the attackers. They are kind of the defenders now, aren't they, though? We got 2 units of Hippeus Lancers, 3 including the general. Steppe Noble Lancers. Now, 3v1, the Steppe Noble Lancers will lose, but the Steppe Noble Lancers v Hippeus Lancer, they should win that pretty easily, actually. But they got caught kind of sitting. They didn't charge back. Hippeus Lancer going to come in, try and get in on the Steppe Armored Lancer there. You can see Saba's camels coming in, hitting the Principes. The Vigiles here, which are a spear unit, but they're very, 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 very light. You see they just got obliterated. Over here we do have one of the units of Equite Extraordinari in versus the Sabaean Camel Cataphracts, as well as some Hastati Evocati cohort. The Camel Cataphracts actually going down 52 kills. Oh my gosh. Evocati cohort just getting flattened by the Camel Cataphracts. They took 16 losses. They got flattened, but they did not take as crazy a kills or losses as you might have thought. Syrian archers are broken. Oh my god, it's just a mess. Over here, this flank really not getting bothered too much. In fact, basically all the cav has ended up over here, except for some of the ranged. You can see they still have more of those Amazonians. They do have a couple Lancers over here, too. Hippeus Lancers breaking. You can see they got hit by 3 units here. Sarmatian Horsemen, Sabaean Camel Cataphracts. Rome is just kind of all over the place here. Way, way opposite of what you typically want to do, and that's consolidate. Make yourself a mass that the cavalry has a hard time to get through. You know, use the buildings to your own advantage, right? You have a whole pocket here that you could sit up against that kind of gives you a little bit of protection on one of your flanks. Sparta has stopped his attack. He really didn't ever attack. He kind of just sat, you know, in the breach, you know, didn't really go in. Probably mostly dealing with what's going on over here, to be honest with you. The Roman cavalry getting into the slingers from Saba. We do have some Eastern cataphracts from Armenia going to come try and mess with them. Got very heavy shock cav versus super heavy shock cav. We got some armored lancers. The downside, so the Royal Spartans and things like that, of course, are really heavy. They have spears. They have bonus for large. That's all great. And that's all good. But the one thing they don't have that is really useful, javelins. You know, the problem with not having javelins, sorry, I just want to see what's going on here. Armored Lance is just beating up on some Sociequite Extraordinari. The downside to not having javies is that as the cavalry runs away, you can't catch them, right? Like, you can't keep up with the horses. But as they run away, you can javy them, except you can't because you're a hoplite. Most of these other units, you could get a punishing javelin against a cav that's running away from you. You know, that is the one downside to hoplites. While they do have the mass, they do have the bonus first large. That's all helpful. It's all great. They don't have javelins. So it helps to have something paired up with a hoplite. You know, something that does have javelins. Whether it's a thorough spear or even some of these Roman units, right? You can see they are beginning, well, these guys are shifting this direction. This is all Evocati. Syrian archers with 81 kills. They are consolidating to a point. Is it enough? That's the question. We're getting some shots. Is it these? Which archers are shooting at them? There are archers shooting all the way over here, and maybe it was these guys. See, he has the problem where if he consolidates forward with these units, including those archers, they're the archers on the inside from the defenders who could then pepper them. You know, and maybe he's not confident in taking that fight. Roman Colchis continuing to pull back. Now now it looks like they are finally making that decision to consolidate their forces, because then maybe they can actually begin that attack. You can see Saba, in response, moving up his mercenary Moscow Marauders to reinforce Armenia. Inside the settlement, that's it. The balance power is heavily in favor of the attackers. You know, there's a lot of elements that go into why. A lot of it including just the fact numbers. You know, because a lot of the armies for the defenders are cav armies, they literally just have less men on the battlefield. And that's probably the big impact. So that means that the attackers or the defenders, excuse me, they really need to get very, very good value out of this sally out. They've gotten a lot of kills, don't get me wrong. 101 kills, though, is not very much for a camo cataphract. 51 is not very much. 35 is not very much. You know what I mean? Those numbers are not very high. So they really need to just pray to God they up those numbers. In the end, it's a numbers fight. Archers getting some shots in on some step lancers. That's a good thing. Okay, as you consolidate, you need to press this attack. You're wasting a lot of time. A lot of their units are tired, so what that's going to mean is Sparta over here is going to have to head up this attack, you know, with the Colchian units probably in support. Colchis' general is dead, but a lot of their units are disciplined. The Roman general is is he alive? He seems to be alive. The Spartan general should be alive. There he is. Some royal Spartans. Some royal Spartans on the battlefield today. Now we're going to have a little bit of a setup phase, right? You know, now they've got to decide how they want to go about this. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking around here. Right now, there's not a whole lot to say, you know, other than they really need to get started here. You know, I think they've missed a little bit of the opportunity I had early on to really take advantage of all the micro the defenders were having to do, as well as how weak the defense was at that point in time. Now I think the defense is probably a little more stiffened and consolidated. And the the defenders, as the sally out, they just, honestly, they don't have to do anything, right? It's the attackers, you know, prerogative here to go and attack. The defenders can sit here all day. They don't care. If the time runs out, the time runs out. You know, that's on the attackers. That is their prerogative to get into this settlement. So, as the sally out, I think you just wait. You're too weak to go into this. They have consolidated. They've turtled up. The consolidate apparently is my word of the day, by the way. They have turtled up here, and your initial impetus is gone. Right, the attack that you sallied out with is pretty much over, right? You no longer have what you had 10 minutes ago. So, wait for the attackers to make the mistakes. They have to go attack. As they attack, opportunities are going to arise and openings will happen that will then allow you to get those cavalry that you have left in on some of the soft, squishy stuff that the attackers, leave exposed. The attackers, even right now, seem like they're interested in kind of picking with you. They're picking on you, I guess I should say. They're bringing their archers out to get these shots. That's where mistakes happen. They get distracted. Maybe you get cav in. You don't know. A lot of time wasting. The clock is ticking. And I'm going to tell you right now, for those of you who think that that this is not a timed victory or whatever, I'm going to tell you, don't believe that, because I don't always... The number you see on the clock down there is not always the number that it actually started at. Usually I've clipped something off, I've kind of let time run, because sometimes there's just things you don't need to see. And also, I don't want you to know what the time is. So, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it is a timed victory, but don't believe that it's not just because the video started with like 50 minutes on the clock. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Literally, I have no idea how this ends. I literally don't know. Desert Levy came out the gate here today, Junior. And then you've got Eastern Archers on the wall. The Desert Levy, I mean, it's not going to be able to do much. You got a Hastati here that just the Hastati can clean that up easy. In fact, I don't really know what the Desert Levy is doing. Is he just going to go join his buddies, I guess? Sometimes I wish that you, as the defender, could get onto the equipment and, like, drag it away. Here we go. I think the reason they waited is because they wanted all the troops that made their way over here to rest. And I get it, but you had rested troops you could have begun the attack with while the others rested. Just saying. I don't believe... He might just be setting it up to block arrows, but it almost looks like he's trying to land, and I don't think you can land on this. Maybe there is just enough that you can. Yeah, you can. A lot of the gatehouses you can't land siege towers onto. It just comes down to how much room is on either side of the gate. A lot of them don't have this much wall section between the tower and the gate. Okay, we've got Spartan youths leading off on both directions, but then followed up by a heavy hitter and an Evocati cohort. Spartan youth versus, I think it's just a hillman. Cheap versus cheap. This guy's got to earn their armor first, you know what I mean? That's how the Romans did it back in the day. The Hastati were given like nothing and basically said, hey, if you survive this battle, then after this battle, you're not going to be a Hastati anymore. You're going to be a Principe. And then if you survive 5 battles of Principe, you're going to be a Triarii. And as you go, you're going to get more armor and stuff that you collect. But you better make it past the Hastati phase first. Basically, survival of the fittest. If you live long enough, you get stuff to live more. You know, they like, you have to prove your worth with nothing first. I wonder if it might even be worth for the, defenders just bring their cab back in the settlement now. I don't know. Tarsus is a settlement that has a lot of room to work with cavalry. So that is one bonus. You're on a settlement where there's a lot of room inside the settlement to use this cav. Avocado cohort, 64 kills, but it's down to 59 men on that one. 144 kills down to 78. Now we got Royal Spartans joining the fight. Get out of the way, kids. We're here to carry the day. It's too bad they wear these ugly-ass helmets. There's nothing better than the Corinthian helmet style of the Greeks, which is a little bit older than this time period. You got to remember, Rome 2 is kind of like the later period, while the Corinthian helmet would have been a couple, I don't know, probably 150 years prior to this timeline. But the heroes of Sparta still wear it, and I'm glad they do because it's the best and coolest. It's honestly in the realm of like armor and helmets. I think the Corinthian helmet might be one of the most iconic helmets. It's just so unique, you know what I mean? Another pretty iconic one is the, I don't remember what they call it, but this one for the Romans, this particular, if anybody knows in the comment section, let me know what this helmet here was called. The attackers on the left, just kind of, they were going to go forward, but the problem is you have this archer here that basically is just shooting you to pieces. So until they can get that to go away, which they are bringing some of their own Eastern archers in, they can't really press this attack very well. The cavalry's still circling. You've got the slingers on the outside. For Saba, they're still being a nuisance. Cretan archers, 98 kills, 122 kills. Syrians with 81. Much death has happened on both sides of the battlefield. So we've got Mercenary Moscow Marauders. I like this move. They took it out and charged it back in, getting that repeat charge bonus. Now, typically, you're not wanting to use the same unit to do that. You want to be cycling it with a separate unit. It helps your unit take a little bit less losses in the retreat, and then it actually gives your unit a moment to really reform so that when it charges back in, it's getting a real impact. Oh my God. 102 men shattered. I don't think I even realized that the Saba general is dead. That's a really big deal. Majority of these units for Saba will not do very well without that. That was 102 men that shattered because their general's dead. Not broke and came back. Shattered. Just saying. That's a big deal. Eastern archers shifting over here. They want to get a shot here. They better be careful. You've got some calves sitting right here. He does see it. He's pulling back. These are the Amazonian. Well, that's a steppe lancer. They're getting shot here. Is it by the Cretans? What is shooting them? They must have stopped. Because I don't see any more arrows. This is a fresher Eastern archer. That one earlier had over 100 kills. I don't know where he put it. Did he pull it back or? I don't know. Might have died. 92 kills on Eastern Scorpion. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So you can see they're concentrating their efforts here on the gate because it's the place that the attacker, or the defenders, excuse me, can't really flank their, get flanking shots and such, so that they can really use their mass here without too many, worries, like on the other side where they were getting shot to pieces from this flank over here. So you can see the commander of the Royal Spartans still wears that crested Corinthian helmet. And these Cartley Axemen and Hillmen are having some troubles holding back this. It's just a bulldozer, right? You just have heavy, 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 heavy units. It's Royal Spartans and Evocati cohorts, so tanks are basically trying to roll their way through your formation. Evocati cohort now with 193 kills. It's pretty darn good, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty darn good. Cartley Axeman taking on the Desert Levy over here next to the gate. Cav, maybe come in here? No? Well, they do have the Hippeus, so that'd probably be a bad idea. Bounce power is still pretty heavily in the attacker's favor, but, I don't think that's the end-all be-all. That can definitely change. They are starting to get some good shots in. It's because of this Eastern Archer right here that they can't really deal with. You know what I mean? They're so exposed on this flank that they can't bring something to get rid of this. They would have to commit a pretty decent chunk of units to protect those archers. And I think they're finding that it's probably not worth it. The one thing I thought of is maybe you could threaten them with a tower. That is, look at this though, that tower, they're trying to shoot those Cretans, but they can't because of their arrow towers. So it's an archer wall is what it is. For that, it's doing, literally they set it up to do exactly what that just did. Ah, bleh. The Armenian Kolkis are actually, like with their infantry, they're pretty much identical. You have Cartley Axemen on both sides, you have Hillmen on both sides, but that's pretty much, like, look, it's just green versus purple. Lavender, maybe? And I think that was a Moscow Marauder that just came charging in. 140 men, 29 kills, 31 kills. I thought I saw archer fire coming in from this way, but I guess not. The Eastern Archer now is 132 kills. They've almost made it. See, it's not even just the kills they're getting, it's the push that they're getting, right? You got to remember, look at the deaths. Like the battle line was up in this area originally, and look how far the attackers have pushed the defenders backwards, right? And that means that they're getting out of this defensive position, allowing the attackers more room to push and spread the defenses, which means it requires more defending units to defend it. All they got to do is push it enough that it opens up a gap somewhere. They did put their archers on a tower, by the way. Honestly, but I think they might have done it to protect them from the cavalry. Because, look, because there's nothing on the bottom level, when the cavalry comes through, it won't touch the unit, so the unit won't get forced off of the tower. It only works if the unit is small enough that it can basically fit into the upper levels of the tower. So, I don't know, probably 60 men or so. mean, this one's got, this only has 31, but it's not very full either. You know what I mean? Eastern Archer's now 93 kills. Here we go. See what I mean? And this is where it's going to get very, very difficult. Okay, we've got the attack from the sally out here. Cavalry in mass motion. Hippeus Lancers probably going to take that charge. Got Cartley Axemen in support. Sarmatian Horsemen coming in on the Avocati cohort. Sorry, I had to cough. The horns on their horses, like headdresses. Okay, the last Soci Equitaeus Extraordinardi is about to be gone.
We understand.
Royal Cataphract, 83 kills, and he only lost 10 men. And obviously, I don't think all that was just from that charge, by the way. I'm pretty sure the Armenian cavalry was in, the Armenian general specifically, was in combat earlier. Noble Step Lancers hitting the Cartley Axemen really before they can even, or Colchian Nobles, but before they can even reform. Colchian Nobles are a pretty hefty hoplite unit. They're pretty good. General is dead for Colchis. Once again, like I said earlier, probably it's not going to matter too much though. Cavalry trying to come through the breaches. $40 kills, 121 kills. They had to go in because this, it's not very good for them. This attack from the attackers was just, I mean, it's brutal. So the cavalry basically had no choice. It had to go in and do something. They're going to have to be really smart with this. They're so low on infantry. Armenian Cav now with 123 kills. He's lost 19, 20 men now. Here's a Sparta with 73 kills and a Chevron. That's pretty good. It's probably killing Cav, to be honest with you. Those Cav are really expensive. And remember, the basic rule of thumb with chevrons is that first chevron you get is worth about 500 gold. Or if you kill 500 gold worth of something, you get a chevron. The first chevron. I believe it gets more expensive for each chevron you get, though. 95 kills now in the Heroes of Sparta. And the breakthrough is here. The leftover units of the defense trying to desperately get out of here. The Roman general catching some of the fleeing units, the Moscow Marauders there. Roman general, I wonder if he's alive. He's 15 men and he's alive. Lucky, lucky. So he's under half of his manpower. Typically you get that low and the chances of your general being alive are pretty slim. I don't know what they're going to do about this. They still have some cav on the outside being a nuisance. 119 kills, 82 kills, 174 kills. But realistically, that's basically it. 218 kills on a Sarmatian Horseman. That's just a medium melee cav, and they've done pretty well. But the fact is the defense is all the way back here. This is the final point. And they really don't have anything to hold said final point. So they're going to have to be really clever about how they go about this. I highly doubt this is going to be a timed victory. Mostly due to the fact that I really don't think the defenders have enough to pull off a timed victory. Unless the attackers were to just waste a ton of time right now, I don't see that happening. So, it's either the bounce power proves that this game is over, or there's some miraculous play that happens. I really don't know. To me, looking at the state of things, it's not looking very good for the defenders. Their cavalry is so beat up, so tired, that I don't know how much it can realistically do right now. They may be better off at this point pulling back with it and letting it rest up. And maybe, you know, they're all spread out right now. They might do a little bit better if they started to get together, just due to how small each unit is. Majority of them are under half health. I think every single one of them. Well, 1, 47 to 80, he's above half health. 2, above half health. They do still have the Armenian general who is healthy. The Eastern archers here seem to be completely and totally out of ammo. This is dire stuff, man. I do not envy the defenders right now. It's a very large map to cover. Even when you get back here, it's very large and open. And they don't have very much to do with it. And there's some tanky stuff here coming at them. What do you guys think? In the comment section, let's see it right now. Who do you think's going to pull this off? Attackers, defenders? Did you put it in the comment section? I don't know. It's so tough to say. Like, I'm trying to think how the defenders can pull this off. I think it's got to be their cav. That's really the only way I can see them pulling this off, is their cav has got to be, like, on point. But it's so tough to see how, given all the tanky things that are still left. I wonder if they have any javelins left. Colcan Noble's still... I'm still shocked that the Roman general is alive. Or as far as I can see, he is alive. I always wish... I believe that's the general right there in the gold scale. Sometimes it seems like it's easy to tell which one's the general. Sometimes they look just like the rest of the unit, which is lame. I kind of wish that they looked, you know, unique, like all the time. This poor hero Sparta, 37 men with 98 kills. The attackers are doing a smart play here. They are keeping themselves together. That's their best bet against the cavalry. 124 kills with 2 Javies. And they've got Javies left. I was going to say chevrons, actually, but they do have Javies. And the Eastern, or the Saba Camel Catverks did take some losses there. 4 kills there with the javelins. So, are they going to push around the flank here? You can see they're keeping some things here. The cavalry just, I mean, it's just circling. They're sharks, you know what I mean? They sense blood in the water. Here we go. There's another one.
Quickly now! Riders,
Looks like the Eastern Scorpion ended with 92 kills. It's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, usually, like, obviously you would want a little bit better, but it's not bad.
follow me forward! I
Royal Spartans taking a really hefty charge there. Now, those are the Noble Lancers that, oh wait, do they not have, which one is the one that has Draco?
forever loyal!
I thought it was the Steppe Noble Lancers, but apparently not. Which sucks, because Draco is an ability that some of the Roxolani Cav have that basically does a penalty to all the things that are good against it. So, cavalry, elephants, I believe it even affects, like, infantry that has a bonus first large. They need another unit here. Interesting. Okay, I was going to say, Armenia looked like he was going to charge in there. I'm like, why? Let him walk into the kill box. So you got the 2 Armenian infantry, and then you got the Cav here. Got some Cav backing this up. A lot of Cav backing that up. Look at that. On the back end, Steppe Noble Lancers. They're trying to get hits, but the attackers are doing a pretty solid job of, you know, paying attention and keeping their units well set for these charges. Especially these Royal Spartans are not going to take super heavy losses on this if they're in formation. So it's a smart move he's doing. He's slowly pulling them back, turning around. Slowly pull them back, turn them around. And then look at this, just a huge thing going on here. Just a mosh pit. You got the Royal Spartans, you got the Colchian Nobles, you've got Avocati Cohort. Still have some Javies left on those cart leaves. And as you can see, they just, once again, they just continue to keep their formations tight. They're playing it very well. The defenders are doing everything they can. Both teams, I think, really doing some good stuff here. Carly Axman taking the charge here. You know, I get that they probably were thinking, you know, have the Cartley take it instead of your really valuable Royal Spartan. But the Royal Spartan could probably take it a lot better than the Cartley Axman could. 187 kills. Armenia, are you going to go? What do you think? Royal Spartan General? In formation? Yeah, he doesn't look interested. Now, I think as they get out here, this is going to get a little bit harder because it's a much more open area here. So it means that they're going to have a harder time keeping that formation tight and compact. Armenia does go in, 158 kills, 2 chevrons. Oh my God. I think he got a lot of those kills on, I mean, that's like 20 kills on the Royal Spartan. But I think he got a lot of kills on that Cartley Axman. That big jump, I think that's what it was the Cartley, not the Royal Spartan. You can see there's Royal Spartans here, but look how many Cartleys there are. You just got to keep in formation and keep watching. Back charge here on the Royal Spartan. It's a pretty healthy Royal Spartan. Oh, even in formation, he just flattens that unit. That's a good charge. I think it's basically just the Royal Spartan is to a point that he was just too small to really have that same mass. Which is a problem. That means that they're kind of sitting vulnerable here. Here's a Sparta, maybe going to try and, you know, reinforce it. They took that pretty well. Royal Cataphracts now 256. These really annoying Step Noble Lancers getting in on the back end of that Royal Spartan. Got Battle Rhythm, Shield Wall. Dude, this would just be a nightmare. On both sides, it's really frustrating, right? The defenders, you're trying to bust through this hard nut to crack in this attacking formation. And the attackers, you feel like you're making no progress, right? It's such a slow grind because you have to keep everything so compact because of all the cavalry. This would be a very frustrating game to play. I think it's really going to come down to who gets lazy. You know what I mean? Like who kind of just stops or gets kind of like lax in their movements. I was going to say who stops carrying, but I don't think that's correct. I think it really just comes into games like this. You know, the first mistake you make is the one that kills you, right? And you're in this situation on both sides. So who makes the first mistake? I think that the attackers took some unnecessary losses on this end here. But the defenders really playing as clean of a game as they probably could at this point. Both sides have made mistakes, but both have played very well. The attackers, from the start, this has been I guarantee that this has been a frustrating game for them from literally start of the game, just due to 3 Sally out factions, you know what I mean? Nobody likes playing that game. It happens, and it happens to the best of us. And sometimes you just get really royally screwed. They didn't. They played it very well. They were patient. I think they did a good job. I think they probably, formation-wise at the beginning, were probably not quite what they wanted to be or should have been. And probably took some excessive losses due to that. Colchian Nobles, you saw, were not in formation and just got flattened by the Step Noble Lancers. 99 kills. I know I've said flattened a lot, but I mean, what other term is there to use? They literally are thrown to the ground as almost an entire unit. I think the one of the most impressive things that I've seen in this game is, as a team, each side, coordination has been very good. You know, especially like look at this formation, right? For most of this, you know, last 10 minutes or so, you know, you've had this kind of formation of 3 different armies all in this cohesive nut, right? Having to move forward together and, you know, shift together. And that can be really hard to do. There's that Draco effect. That can be really hard to do when you're coordinating 3 different players, 3 different armies, so on and so forth. They've done very well, both sides, with the cavalry, with the infantry. It's been a good job, good team play. They're kind of at a point right now that the defenders are having a very tough time slowing them down now. The point is right there. And right now, I don't know that the defenders have enough to stop them from getting to it. They could slow them down. They are slowing them down. Can they stop them? Is a different question. Royal Spartan only 90 kills. I'm kind of surprised by that. It might be because realistically it hasn't gotten much of a fight, right? You know, it's just been charge and run away cavalry. And you get kills here, you get kills there. But when you're not in kind of a consistent combat, it's hard to get a decent chunk of kills. Got a little breaking on both sides. Kolkas has breaking and Roxolani has breaking. All the attacking generals, I believe, are dead at this point. Because the Roman general just died, Sparta's dead, and Kolkas has been dead for ages. And we are down to just 1, 2, 3 Spartan units. 96 men, 31 men, 62 men. I believe that is it. You still, I guess, technically have this Cretan archer back here. So what's your play, Sparta? What are you thinking? Defenders, I think they're going to probably have to set these two units on the point to fight while the cavalry continues to try and hit them on the backside. They're taking it slow. They have to. They don't really have a choice. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump my mic. They got this handy little Heroes of Sparta unit guarding one of the flanks. The other flank is pretty open. There's back charge. And then you got the Cartley Axemen on the other side. Draco again. That's the general. Sarmatian Royal Lances. And they're just kind of in like a little Shiltron formation at this point. But they continue to push their way through. Bounce power, look at it. It's almost dead even. This game is not over. That Draco hurts. Was it bonus versus cavalry, bonus versus elephants, and bracing? Bracing is what these Royal Spartans are trying to do. But every time the cavalry shifts back to kind of redo, recharge, reset, whatever you want to say, that infantry just sneaks forwards. They are neutralizing the point. In fact, it is neutralized. Ooh. Wow, Royal Spartans wavering. Triple chevron, Heroes of Sparta, 206 kills. That's it. I think that's it. That's GG. Wow. I told you it was going to be the cab play. If it was going to happen, that's how they had to do it. And they did it. Wow, what a game. To the last final steps of the cap point. Starting off, we have got In Sniper as Armenia with 2,344 kills, leading the whole game. You know, his infantry really carried the day. I mean, they did everything they needed to do. You know, they did more than just slow and survive. They actually did very good at getting some kills. I don't know how to say this name. I'm sorry, but it's this is Roxolani, 1769. Cav, I mean, you got to remember this number, you know, is very different, right? They only had 1360 deployed, but they got 1,769 kills. It's not a bad KDR. Gurkhan held as Saba with 1261. I think probably could have done better here. I think Saba probably wishes that his camels performed a bit better than they did. For the defenders, we've got Kirky as, or no, this is attackers. We have Kirky as Sparta, 1517. Small army, only 2,000 men. I mean, I guess that's about the same as everybody else's, but it looks really small. The Royal Spartans really didn't perform as well as I would have guessed. But that Cav is hard to kill, man. 154 kills on one of them. Catan Prodigy as Colchis, 1444. Cav really just did everything they could to hold back that sally out. That's the best they could do. Heisenberg as Rome with 1691. The infantry all did pretty solid. Cav, once again, they did about as much as they could do. But that is going to be it for today's battle. Thank you guys so much for joining. Don't forget that if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next time.